Stephen Hawking in Star Trek.
But then I said, in that frame of reference, the perihelion of Mercury would have processed in the opposite direction.
That is a great story.
Quite amusing, Dr. Hawking. You see, Sir Isaac, the joke depends on an understanding of the relativistic curvature of space-time. If two non-inertial reference frames are in relative motion...
Do not patronize me, sir. I invented physics. The day that apple fell on my head was the most momentous day in the history of science.
Not the apple story again.
That story is generally considered to be apocryphal.
What? How dare you?
Perhaps we should return to the game.
Now let's see, where were we? Yes, you raised Mr. Data 4.
Which means that the bet is 7 to me?
The bet is 10. Can't you do simple arithmetic? I don't even know why I'm here in the first place. What is the point of playing this ridiculous game?
When I play poker with my shipmates, it often appears to be a useful forum for exploring the different facets of humanity. I was curious to see how three of history's greatest minds would interact in this setting. So far, it has proved to be most illuminating.
And profitable.
Can we get this over with, please? It's your bet.
I raised 50.
Blast. I fold.
I fold as well.
The uncertainty principle will not help you now, Stephen. All the quantum fluctuations in the universe will not change the cards in your hand. I call. You are bluffing, and you will lose.
Wrong again, Albert.
Red alert! All personnel report to duty stations.
We will have to continue this another time. End program.
About a year later, I was standing in front of stage 8 and 9 where we shot our series, and I looked down the street, and here comes Stephen Hawking. So I thought, well, I have to say hello, and I went up to him and I said, Professor Hawking, it's nice to see you again. And he types into his computer, and his voice comes out and says, where's my money?
Yes, where's my money? Where's my money? Stephen Hawking got right to the point. Very cool. This is Will. This is Sci-Fi Guy, and we're talking Star Trek, celebrity cameos, and celebrity superfans. And that clip was from the episode Descent. That is from the 6th season. And it's about, what is it about? It's about the Borg. Sort of definitely about the Borg. And it's got Stephen Hawking in it, which, again, is pretty much of a great celebrity cameo. This is Will, this is Sci-Fi Guy, and we're going to be talking about the many times that Star Trek put household names in the episodes. So as a kid watching Star Trek, the original series, I didn't know who he was. I was, just watching the episode. I guess my mom said, oh, Melvin Belli. That was a very famous lawyer, prominent United States lawyer, right from his wiki, writer and actor. He was known as the King of Torts, and by insurance companies as Melvin Bellicose. He had many celebrity clients, including Zsa Zsa Gabor, Muhammad Ali, Errol Flynn, Chuck Berry, the Rolling Stones, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, Lana Turner, and Tony Curtis and Mae West. During his legal career, this is incredible. During his legal career, he won over $600 million in damages for his clients, which by, today's, adjusted for inflation and today's rates, that would probably be well over $1 billion. He was also the attorney for Jack Ruby, who shot Lee Harvey Oswald. And he was also a Star Trek actor. He was in the episode And the Children Shall Lead. He played the evil Gorgon. The Children Shall Lead is the 4th episode of the 3rd season of the sci-fi TV series Star Trek. And it was first broadcast in 1968. So, right, I was just probably watching it one day, and, and I didn't know who Melvin Belli was. At the time, he was still, I guess, maybe alive. And my mom was like, oh, Melvin Belli, And he was a household name, a very famous lawyer. In terms of reception, though, I'm looking at the official wiki. The fan and critic reception of And the Children Shall Lead is pretty abysmal. It's consistently voted one of the worst or the worst. Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, of course, he considered it the very worst episode in all of Star Trek. Over and over, worst, worst, worst. At the very end here, though, in 2020, only 10 years ago, only 2 years ago, Den of Geek ranked this episode as the 11th most scary episode of all Star Trek franchise television episodes. So they rank it 11th. It is, I mean, if you're familiar with the plot, this, controlling, manipulative energy being alien, Gorgon, played by Melvin Belli, is controlling the kids and making them naughty to evil. So it's pretty spooky, and I think the kids are really good in it. One of the kids, this is really neat, one of them, child actor Craig Hudley, who played Tommy, became a composer and inventor under the name Craig Huxley. His blaster beam, an 18-foot-long aluminum bar strung with piano wire and played using artillery shells, would appear on Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack for the first Star Trek film, as well as James Horner's Star Trek II and Star Trek III soundtracks. He also composed the piece for the Genesis Project briefing video in Star Trek. And I always thought that was a great, little bit of music when you watch that with Carol Marcus, and ooh, that's a kind of a cool, musical touch there, and he created it. The one of the actors, the child actors from the episode. A few years back, I wrote for TrekNews.net a piece on celebrity fans, on super fans of Star Trek. The listing was Ronald Reagan, King Abdullah of Jordan, astronaut Mae Jemison, and Professor Stephen Hawking. Now, there are many others. In fact, even for the episode of Next Generation that I wrote, Paul Sorvino was known to be a big fan. And his daughter, Mira, I've heard, is a big Star Trek fan. So there's many, of course, fans of Star Trek, but ones that actually appeared in the episodes or somehow connected. Now, Ronald Reagan never appeared in an episode, but he toured the Next Generation sets, and apparently he was very much enamored of Star Trek. Patrick Stewart greeted him, the producers, Michael Piller, Rick Berman, and they gave him a tour. So Ronald Reagan must have had some affinity for Star Trek. And King Abdullah of Jordan definitely is a Star Trek fan. This is from my article. If you're a prince, can you have anything you want in the world? I'd probably try for world peace myself if I was a royal, but that's a tough sell for whomever you may be. Well, perhaps you can't get absolutely anything you want, but snagging a walk-on part in your favorite TV show is pretty darn cool. It certainly qualifies you as being a super fan. Prince Abdullah had no idea what amazement he was in store for. The cameo role was arranged in advance by his U.S. advisor and was kept as a complete surprise. So this was a surprise to him. He didn't, anticipate. The episode is Investigations, and it aired in Voyager's second season. King Abdullah continues his Star Trek fandom by being the main investor in a Star Trek-styled theme park located in his country. Now, of that writing, that was 5 years ago, so I don't know if that came to fruition, but they were going to make a big Star Trek dedicated theme park. Similar, I guess, to the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas, which is now defunct, that folded. Maybe back then, the new episodes, Discovery was just sort of trying to start gearing up, and who knows? I haven't checked on it, but I don't know if they actually completed it. And then Next Generation as well had astronaut Mae Jemison. NASA astronauts are today's real Starfleet members. One groundbreaking astronaut got to merge her real-life career into a role on Star Trek The Next Generation. Jemison is the first African-American woman to go into space as mission specialist aboard the shuttle Endeavour in 1992. While Jemison filmed her part on the Star Trek sets, her good friend, actress Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura, visited her. And official wiki says that, of course, when Mae Jemison gives public talks, she mentions her experiences with Star Trek to connect with the audiences about her career and their potential careers in science and technology. So once again, Star Trek connects to real life. And then Stacey Abrams was in an episode of Discovery. This was a 4th season episode, and it aired about 6-7 months ago. Discovery must find a way to communicate and connect with a species far different from their own before time runs out. So we have Stacey Abrams in Discovery, and of course we led off the episode here with the Stephen Hawking clip from Descent. This was from season 6, and obviously, Stephen Hawking was a big Star Trek fan. During some of the production notes, it says, after a screening for the 1991 documentary film A Brief History of Time, which was based on the book of the same name by British physicist Stephen Hawking, he was introduced to the audience by Trek actor Leonard Nimoy. A Brief History exec producer told Nimoy that Hawking was an avid Star Trek fan. It was subsequently arranged for Hawking to visit the set of Next Generation, which included an opportunity for him to sit in the captain's chair. Freeman told the show's exec producer Rick Berman that Hawking would appear on the show if asked. Hawking accepted the ensuing offer, marking the first time a guest star played himself on any episode of any Star Trek series. Now that's really notable. So Stephen Hawking was the first person in history to ever play himself on a Star Trek episode. After he was sent the script, he made some modifications to it, including improving a humorous line of dialogue to make it funnier, which Berman called delightful. And and then Spiner saw him, on the back lot, on the Paramount lot, and he said, "Where's my money?" So he's certainly quick. He was certainly quick with a one-liner. And this is great. Rick Berman, the producer of Next Generation, says that of all the notable people he'd met during the course of his career, including presidents and business magnates, the visitor who stood out above the rest of all of them was Stephen Hawking. And I've heard that from, other, encounters as well, that he was such a thoughtful and such a brilliant person. And even with all his limitations, he was that engaging and sort of charismatic when you met him. Want to thank you guys for listening and for subscribing. If you have not, just subscribe. We're free. Then we have the paid people, the $4.99 as well. You get goodies, you get exclusives and some great interviews and stuff that the free people do not get. Either or, keep feedbacking us, keep messaging us, and go watch the episodes. Go watch Descent and Second Chances. The Mae Jemison one is with the Riker transporter duplicate that was split in half, which is a great one. It's a really good Jonathan Frakes episode. It's probably one of the best that Frakes has done. Certainly, his work is always good, but that's a really good one. It gives him a chance to really, have a nice meaty role of doing two versions of himself. Frame of Mind is a great one too. That's a good Jonathan Frakes Riker episode. Either or, just watch them. Go watch And the Children Shall Lead. Go watch them all and see household names in Star Trek. We'll see you soon.